Hello everyone, welcome back to online class. I am Akkamahadevi, your science teacher from Upper Public School, Kalaburagi. Children, as you all know that clothing is one of the basic needs of life, isn't it? We wear clothes to protect our body from heat, from cold, from insect bites, from dust particles, isn't it? So here today we will discuss based on this clothing only, children. Okay, so let me write chapter 3. So based on the clothing, today we are going to start a new lesson, that is fiber to fabric. Okay, so today we are going to start a new chapter, that is fiber to fabric. So before we start this chapter, children, let me tell you what are the contents which we are going to discuss in this chapter. Okay, so first we are going to discuss about what is fabric. Okay, so next we are going to discuss about fibers. Okay, so next types of fibers we are going to discuss. So after that we are going to discuss about spinning. Next we are going to discuss about weaving, and even we are going to discuss about knitting, and at last even we are going to discuss about history of clothing material. Okay, so let me write here, children. So first we are going to discuss about fabric. Okay, so first we are going to learn about fabric, like what is fabric. Okay, so next we are going to discuss about fibers. Types of fibers. What do you mean by spinning? Weaving. Next we are going to discuss about what is knitting. Okay, and even we are going to discuss about history of clothing material. Okay, so these are the topics which we are going to discuss in this chapter. Okay, we are going to discuss about fabric, fibers, types of fibers. Okay, next is spinning, weaving, what is knitting, and even we are going to discuss about history of clothing material. Okay. So what do you mean by fabric? Yes, children? So, the material that is used for clothing. Okay. So here what do you mean by fabric? The material that is used for clothing is called fabric. Okay. So children, let me show you. Okay. So here, as you all can see, it is a piece of fabric, isn't it? So when you look at this fabric, children, so how it appears? Yes. So when you look at this fabric, how it appears? So it appears to be in a continuous piece, isn't it? So when we look at the fabric, how it appears? It appears to be in a continuous piece, isn't it? So when we look at this fabric closely, how it looks, children? Any idea? I'll show you. So think this is a piece of fabric. Okay. So this is a piece of fabric. So when we look very closely, so the fabric will be okay. So when we look at any fabric very closely, it appears to be like this. Okay. So now I'll tell you. So now what you should do, children, just try to find the end of the fabric. So here it is the end of the fabric, isn't it? So just try to find the end of the fabric. You can see a thread, isn't it? This is thread. So here in the picture, this one we will take. Okay. So this is thread, isn't it? Even we call yarn. Okay. So what we call, children? Yarn. So when we look at the fabric closely and when we try to find the edge of the fabric, we can find a loose thread, isn't it? We can find so at the end of the fabric, we find a loose thread that is called as yarn. Okay, we find a loose thread. So now, children, what you come to know? Yes, exactly. Like we come to know that fabric is made up of yarn which are arranged together. Got it? So fabric, how the fabrics are made? Fabrics are made up of yarn. Okay. So fabrics are made up of yarn, and how the yarns are arranged? They are arranged horizontally and vertically. They are arranged together. Yarns are arranged together to make a fabric. Got it? So fabric, it is a piece of cloth, and when we find a loose, like at the end of the fabric, loose thread, so that is called as a yarn. So now let me pull the yarn from the fabric. Okay. So children, you cannot see this thread, so better I'll show you through diagram. Okay. So this is the thread which I have pulled from that fabric. Okay. So take the yarn from the fabric and hold it in your hand. So just keep one finger on the yarn, and by using the thumb finger and the help of your nails, just you scratch the other end of the yarn. Okay. So just you keep one thumb, like thumb here from one hand, and by using the other hand, just you try to scratch the end of the yarn which you pulled out from the fabric. Okay. So now how it appears, children? So when we scratch the thread, it appears like this. Again, the thin strands we will see in the yarn. Okay. So what we call for these? Yes? Fibers. Okay. So when we scratch the end of the yarn, we find like small, like thin strands. Okay. When we scratch the thread, we find like this thin strands. Okay. So these thin strands are called fibers. So now let me tell you the definition of fiber. So what do you mean by fiber, children, here? The thin strands made up of still thinner strands. Okay, so what do you mean by fiber here? The thin strands made up of still thinner strands are called fibers. Got it, children? What do you mean by fabric and what fabric is made up of and what the yarn is made up of? Okay, so here fabric means the material that is used for clothing is called fabric, and fibers means the thin strands made up of still thinner strands are called fibers. So these are this is the thin strand. So here still thinner strands are there. So these still thinner strands are called fibers. Okay. So this is about fabric and fiber. So children, what we come to know? We come to know that fabric is made up of yarn, and yarn is further made up of fibers. Got it? Fabric is made up of yarn, and further again yarn is made up of fibers. So this is about how fabric is made by using yarn and how yarn are made by using fibers. Okay, this is about fibers, like fabric to fibers. So now let us discuss types of fibers. Okay. Types of fibers. So children, what do you mean by fibers here? The thin strands made up of still thinner strands are called fibers. And now let us see the types of fibers. So there are two types of fibers. Yes children, how many types of fibers are there? There are two types of fibers. One is natural fiber and the another one is synthetic fiber. So how many types of fibers are there? There are two types of fibers. One is natural fiber and the another one is synthetic fiber. So now, what do you mean by natural fiber? Yes, children? Let me write here. Natural fiber. Okay. Here, the fiber that is obtained, the fiber that is obtained from natural sources. Okay, so what do you mean by natural fiber, children, here? The fiber that is obtained from natural sources are called which fibers? Yes, natural fibers. Okay, so now what are the examples of these natural fibers, children? Yes, any guess? Yes. Cotton, wool, silk, jute, etc. Okay. So now here, what do you mean by natural fiber, children? The fiber that is obtained from natural sources are called natural fibers. And what are the examples? Cotton, wool, silk, jute, etc. Okay, and many more. So this is about natural fiber. So now, what do you mean by synthetic fiber? Yes, children, let me tell you. So here, synthetic fiber. So synthetic fibers means these are the man-made fibers. Okay. The fibers are man-made fibers. Okay. They are plastic made up of chemicals. Okay. Which is obtained from petroleum. Okay. So what do you mean by synthetic fiber, children? The fibers are man-made fibers. So these fibers we are not getting from any natural sources. So these are the fibers which are prepared by human beings. Okay. So here the fibers are man-made fibers. They are plastic made up of chemicals which is obtained from petroleum. So by using chemicals in the laboratories, synthetic fibers are made. And now what are the examples of these synthetic fibers, children? Yes. Nylon, polyester, isn't it? So nylon, polyester and even acrylic is also the example of synthetic fiber. So children, what we come to know, there are two types of fibers. One is natural fiber and the another one is synthetic fiber. So what do you mean by natural fiber? Yes. Yes, children, what do you mean by natural fiber? Yes, the fibers that are obtained from natural sources are called natural fibers. And can you tell me the examples? Yes, exactly. Like cotton, silk, wool, isn't it? Jute, and many more. So these are the examples of, yes, natural fiber. So now, what about synthetic fiber? The fiber that is made by human beings, that is man-made fibers. Okay, so these fibers are actually plastic made from chemicals obtained from petroleum, isn't it? So these are the fibers which are made in the lab by using chemicals. And what are the examples of synthetic fiber? Yes, children? Exactly. Nylon, polyester, acrylic, and so on. Okay. So this is all about the natural fiber and synthetic fiber. So now children, this natural fiber is again divided into two types. Yes. Natural fiber is again divided into two types based on the natural sources. Which are those? that is plant fiber, and one more is animal fiber. So here again the natural fiber is divided into two types, that is plant fiber and animal fiber. So now what do you mean by plant fiber? Let me tell you. Plant fiber. Okay. So here the fiber that is obtained from plants. Okay. So here the fiber that is obtained from plants are called plant fiber. So what do you mean by plant fiber, children, here? Yes, the fiber that is obtained from plants are called plant fibers. So what are the examples of these plant fiber? What do we get from plants? Yes? Any guess? Like what do we get? Yes, children? Let me write. So here we get cotton, isn't it? So from where do we get this cotton, children? Yes? So we get cotton from plant fiber, isn't it? And even we get jute also from plant. Okay? So here, what do you mean by plant fiber? The fiber that is obtained from plants are called plant fiber, and the examples are cotton, jute. Okay, so now what do you mean by animal fiber? Yes, let me tell you. So next is animal fiber. Yes, children. So here the fiber that is obtained from animals is called, yes, is called exactly animal fiber. Okay, children. So here animal fiber means the fiber that is obtained from animals is called animal fiber. So now can you guess the examples of animal fiber? Yes, children. Silk we get from animal. Wool. From where do we get this wool? We get from animal, isn't it? So here animal fiber means the fiber that is obtained from animals is called animal fiber, and the examples are silk, wool. Okay. So children, just revise, like how many types of fibers are there? Two, isn't it? Natural fiber and synthetic fiber. So again the natural fiber is divided into two types, that is plant fiber and animal fiber. Okay. So now let us recall the topics which we have discussed in today's class once again, children. Okay, so first what we have discussed? Yes, exactly. First we have discussed about fabric. So what do you mean by fabric, children? Yes, the material that is used for clothing, isn't it? So the material that is used for clothing is called, yes, is called fabric. Okay, the material that is used for clothing is called fabric. So now we come to know like what is fabric. So this fabric is made up of yarn, isn't it? So how the yarns are arranged in the fabric, children? Yes, exactly. They are arranged together like horizontally and vertically, isn't it? So when we look the fabric closely, then we come to know that the fabric is made up of yarn, isn't it? So now again, yarn are made up of, yes, children, yarn are made up of, as I said, like fabric is made up of yarn, isn't it? So again, yarn are made up of fibers. So this fabric is made up of yarn and yarn is further made up of fibers. Okay, so now what do you mean by fibers? Yes, the thin strands made up of still thinner strands are called, yes, fibers. So once again I'll repeat, children, what do you mean by fibers here? The thin strands made up of still thinner strands are called fibers. Okay, so next after that what we have discussed? Yes, children, we have discussed the types of fibers. So how many types of fibers are there? There are two types of fiber. One is natural fiber and the another one is synthetic fiber. So what do you mean by natural fiber? Yes, the fiber that is obtained from the natural sources. So what do you mean by natural fiber, children? The fiber that is obtained from the natural sources are called natural fibers. And what are the examples of natural fibers? Yes, exactly. Cotton, silk, wool, jute, etc. Isn't it? So this is about natural fiber. So next we have discussed about synthetic fiber. So these synthetic fibers are, yes, these we get from natural source. No, these are the man-made fibers. So these fibers are actually plastics made up of chemicals which is obtained from petroleum, isn't it? So these synthetic fibers are man-made fibers. And what are the examples of synthetic fibers? Yes, children? Exactly. Nylon, polyester, acrylic, isn't it? So these are the examples of synthetic fibers. So we come to know like fibers are of two types. One is natural fiber and another one is synthetic fiber. So now again this natural fiber is divided into two fibers, isn't it? Which are those, children? They are plant fiber and animal fiber, isn't it? Which are those? Plant fiber and animal fiber. So what do you mean by plant fiber? Yes, the fiber that is obtained from plants are called plant fibers, isn't it? The fibers that are obtained from plants are called plant fibers. And the examples are, yes, what do we get from plants as a fiber? Exactly, cotton, jute. Okay, so next, animal fiber. Okay, so here the fiber that is obtained from animals is called animal fiber. And the examples are silk, wool, isn't it? So here the fiber which is obtained from plants are called plant fibers. The fibers that are obtained from animals are called animal fiber. And the examples for plant fibers are cotton, jute And the examples for animal fiber are silk and wool, isn't it? So this is all about fabric. What is fabric? And next, what do you mean by fibers? And next, types of fibers. So this is for all today's class, children. So in the tomorrow's class, we will discuss in detail about the plant fibers and the animal fibers. Hope you all enjoyed this class, children. Thank you.